Finally, winter, fall spring has ended. Windy and much colder today. Some light snow at times through the weekend, especially this morning. And then the next warm-up begins on Tuesday. It won't be as warm as the 50s and 60s that we just had, but the snow beginning to fall. Right now, just flurries in O'Hare. 31. Southwest winds at 23, so we have a wind chill of 18 degrees. That is a big change from where we were yesterday. Look at this. Aurora's dropped to 29, 32 at Joliet, 34 at Gary. Some of this snow coming in from the west is going to stick, especially on grassy surfaces, not so much on paved. Anthony, what about our commute this morning?
Okay, let's take a look at our drive times, which are creeping up here on a Friday morning at 7 o'clock. 38 minutes is your inbound time on the Kennedy from O'Hare to downtown. Same exact drive time, 38 from Route 390 to downtown. That's on the Eisenhower. On the Stevenson, you're at 35 minutes inbound on I-355 to DuSable Lakeshore Drive. And on the Dan Ryan, you're at just over a half hour inbound from 95th to downtown. I do want to mention that crews are reportedly in Harvey, Illinois, south suburban Harvey, on reports of a possible train derailment down there. We're working right now to get some details. We understand at this point it derailed right between Spalding Avenue and West 143rd Street. So be on the lookout there for some possible traffic delays. Again, that is in and around Harvey and Dixmoor. So heads up there. We will keep you posted.
All right, there is news that's still sinking in that the Chicago Bears could be moving out of state.
Indeed. Saquon joins us live from Soldier Field, which at this point say that's still the home of the Bears.
Yes, here we are at Soldier Field. This is the home of the Chicago Bears. And once again, the million-dollar question everyone's asking right now, will they stay or will they go? First, I want to show you this aerial view of the proposed site in Hammond, Indiana. And I want you to look at this. It's a long ways away from that beautiful Chicago skyline, which hugs the current home of the Bears. The Bears actually put out a statement yesterday saying that the team would be shifting towards this. Hammond, that is, to build their new stadium. Now, just for some context here, Hammond is about 20 miles from Soldier Field, takes roughly 30 minutes to get there without traffic, but it's also about 10 minutes from the Skyway that leads right into Chicago. This all comes after the Indiana House Ways and Means Committee passed a bill that essentially creates the legal and financial framework to move forward with a new stadium. We heard from the mayor of Hammond, who says this move to Hammond is the right move.
But if I was running the Bears, I would want to be as close as possible to Soldier Field. But if you could be only 20 miles from Soldier Field and get all the amazing advantages Indiana offers to businesses, why wouldn't you put your toe over the line, get all the business advantages that Indiana offers, and you're still a bike ride away from Soldier Field?
Okay, so Illinois lawmakers, on the other hand, say they were blindsided after a 3-hour meeting on Wednesday on legislation that would give the Bears tax certainty and allow them to build in Arlington Heights. They were actually scheduled to have a hearing on that legislation yesterday, but lawmakers said it was actually the Bears that called off the hearing and that CEO Kevin Warren was a no-show. Governor Pritzker wasn't too happy about that Bears statement yesterday. Listen.
So to have a statement put out by the Bears, now they're saying to us that that statement is not some confirmation that they're moving to Indiana, but rather that Indiana had asked them to say that, you know, they're going to move forward with the negotiations in Indiana.
For some extra context here, guys, the Bears, I mean, this is going to cost them $2 billion for this project. And keep in mind, there's still more that needs to be done before this is final. It first has to pass through the full Indiana House and Senate before it gets sent to the governor's desk for approval. Back to you.
Okay, Say, what about the deal, the current deal that the Bears still have in place for that location you're at right now, Soldier Field?
Yeah, I think it's important to note that Soldier Field is not owned by the Chicago Bears. In fact, is owned by the Chicago Park District. So, you know, they do have a lease right now, and it runs through the year 2033. They have the option, however, to break that lease if they want. It will cost them some money, though. We're talking anywhere between $84 to $90 million to break that lease. Again, they are eligible to do that this year, but once again, that price tag does not include the $2 billion that they're already going to be contributing to this project if it gets that final approval. Guys?
Okay, Saquon at Soldier Field. Thank you for that update. Appreciate it. 7:04. The schedule of services for Reverend Jesse Jackson is changing slightly here. We've learned there will now be services as well in South Carolina and in Washington, D.C. So here's a look at the changes. Reverend Jackson will now lie in state at Rainbow Push Coalition headquarters next Thursday and Friday, and then services will be held in Washington, D.C. and South Carolina March 1st through the 5th. Back here in Chicago, there will be a People's Celebration at House of Hope. That's happening Friday, March 6th, and then a private homegoing celebration that's happening at Rainbow Push Coalition headquarters on Saturday, March 7th. Since there is limited space for that, a live stream of that service will be made public.
The owner of a Hinsdale spa will go before a judge this morning after police say he filmed clients using a hidden camera. A grand jury indictment filed this week reveals that 51-year-old Jason Wade Spencer of Texas, the owner of Reflection Spa, is facing 64 felony counts for allegedly recording customers without their knowledge. Prosecutors say the videos were apparently made between mid-July and late November of 2024. Police discovered hidden cameras in a hard drive after receiving a tip.
All right, we're learning more about the two people that were killed in a tragic crash that happened on the Bishop Ford Expressway.
Brian is in the studio with the latest. Brian.
Well, those victims have since been identified as 17-year-old Boaz Flemister and 25-year-old Lazarus Gonzalez. The two were members of the Ultimate Threat Dance Corps. Family members tell Fox Chicago that the two were ejected from an SUV while heading home from a dance practice early Thursday morning. That SUV reportedly lost control, flipped, and landed on its side. Bo's mother says that he had been dancing since the age of 5 and had a full life ahead of him.
He was a stylist. He was a dancer. After graduation, he was going into real estate. We were planning his prom 2 years out. Like just last night, he chose his colors that he wanted. Like, how can we be doing prom yesterday and then you're not breathing here today?
3 of their teammates were also sent to the hospital. The cause of that crash is still under investigation. There will be a balloon release at 5 p.m. today for Gonzalez and one on Saturday afternoon for Flemister. Anthony?
All right, thank you, Brian, for that update. Tensions, meantime, between the U.S. and Iran, they're reaching a boiling point. President Trump says we will know within the next 10 days if a new nuclear deal can be reached here or if the U.S. will instead take military action. The Pentagon is executing its largest Middle East military buildup in decades, deploying multiple aircraft carrier strike groups and dozens of fighter jets to that region. Meantime, Iranian officials are warning the UN that any American strike will be met with immediate retaliation against U.S. bases in the Middle East.
We have to make a meaningful deal. Otherwise, bad things happen.
The facts are not on their side. Time is not on their side. And they'd be wise to listen to the president and come to the table with a real deal.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio is set to travel to Israel next week for U.S.-Iran nuclear talks.
Today marks the 20th day teams are searching for Nancy Guthrie. Forensic scientists are still analyzing the DNA found inside Nancy's home, a process which could take weeks, even months. The reward for information leading to an arrest is now over $200,000. There will be cleanup this morning after severe weather moved across parts of our state. A confirmed tornado flattened homes downstate. You're looking at the damage in Flat Rock. It's near Crawford County, in Crawford County. There are reports that at least a dozen buildings, mostly mobile homes, were damaged. 7:08 now, taking a live look outside here in Chicago. Yes, it is shaky. Mike, I felt that wind as soon as I stepped out of my building.
Yeah, we've got a wind advisory in effect for the whole area throughout the day today. We're going to see gusts and are seeing gusts to more than 40 miles per hour. So it's windy. Temperatures have tanked. We've already hit our high for the day. And snow is on the way. Let's take a look at the radar. I'm going to show a couple different perspectives here. Hi there, I'm here. Come on, let's walk this way. Over here, here we go. I know you'll come with me eventually. All right, there's a little light precipitation falling across the area now, most of it in the form of flurries. But I'm going to switch over here to a view that'll give you a better look at that snow that is approaching from the west. What we have here is an area of low pressure, kind of southwest of Madison right now, and as that comes east, it's going to drag some of that snow in here later this morning, and it might be enough to coat the ground. I think the roads are just going to be wet because the pavement is so warm. But we are going to see some snow, and it's not going to melt anytime soon with temperatures like this. 32 at Midway, the Lakefront, Woodstock 33, 34 at Gary. Maybe we'll punch back up into the mid-30s for a few hours this afternoon. But the cold air is here to stay, at least relative to where we've been right on through the weekend. I'll show you that 7-day forecast here in just a little bit. But right now, let's find out if, it's not been a lot of precipitation, but maybe with the wind, things are slowing down out there, Anthony.
There's even a report of a downed pole, like electrical pole, right near Grant Park, and a possible freight train derailment that is happening in Harvey in the south suburbs. So we're keeping an eye on both of those situations this morning on the traffic side of things. It's 7:10. The Bears' plan for a new stadium is starting to gain momentum for Hammond, Indiana. So this plan, at this point, could take them across the state line. We're going to break down all the latest developments with sports business consultant Mark Gannis when we come back. All right, the Bears have gained the attention of fans and state lawmakers after the news out of Indiana that the team may be hot to trot to settle in Hammond, Indiana. So joining me to discuss these latest developments, founder and CEO of SportsCore, sports business consultant Mark Gannis. Mark, good to see you for a second straight day. Thank you.
My pleasure. Good morning.
All right. Good morning to you. Let's kick it off with what we heard from Indiana lawmakers yesterday. In your mind, how close is this to being a done deal? And do you think this is more of a leverage play?
It's still far from being a done deal, but it was a very important step that Indiana took yesterday. They've been handling everything very professionally, very businesslike, and with unanimity at their state legislature. So they're moving in the right direction for their project and doing it the right way. But there's still a long way to go for that. And I do not believe this is leverage. The Bears have said from the outset except for a little foray into downtown Chicago for a year or so, that where they want to be is Arlington Heights. They want to build a new stadium there with their own money. And the state is making the right moves, the state of Illinois, making the right moves for the first time in 3.5 years to get this project done and going. I think that this can still come together this month in Springfield.
So making the right moves after 3.5 years. So this may be kind of a wake-up call. That's what I'm deducing here.
If it's not a wake-up call, we need to put a lot of caffeine into those Springfield legislators, because this is the ultimate of wake-up calls. The Bears, if Springfield does not show up, I expect the Bears will go to Northwest Indiana and to Hammond. But they've got to step up. What they're being asked for is basically what the governor put on the table 2 years ago. The team's got to pay for the entirety of the cost of the stadium, and the state will help with infrastructure, and they need property tax certainty. That's the deal that's on the table right now. They just need to close it.
Makes sense. Okay. Bears have said they have to do due diligence yet on this Hammond location. What still needs to be done there?
They've barely done any of the site analysis. You know, when they first took over Arlington Heights, Arlington Park, they did borings, they did level 1 and level 2 environmental analyses. There's a lot of work that has to go into making sure the site can handle the stadium and the other development that will be needed for the area to help offset some of the costs of the stadium. So they still have a lot of work they have to do on the Indiana site. The state legislature and the governor of Indiana are the ones who've really done the work and the hard work. It's exactly what hasn't happened in Illinois, and that all the rest of the work, the diligence, the site analysis, the environmental studies, that's all done in Illinois.
The governor, when I saw the clip of the governor talking, Governor Pritzker, I mean, not Governor Braun, Governor Pritzker, I thought he sounded a little bit surprised by the Bears' tone yesterday. What do you make of J.B. Pritzker's statements kind of in the wake of the Senate Ways and Means Committee passing this thing unanimously?
Let's never forget that J.B. Pritzker is a politician. He's the governor of the state of Illinois. He's running for re-election here. It's likely he's running for presidential election. So whatever we hear from him has to be taken in the context of what his personal goals are. What took place yesterday should not have been a big surprise. In order to get the state legislature in Indiana to move it forward, they needed to have some positive statements from the Bears, that they weren't just, effectively negotiating with themselves. So the Bears stepped up and did what they needed to do after the State of Indiana Ways and Means Committee unanimously stepped up on what they needed to do. That's exactly the right approach. Governor Pritzker should not be surprised at it. Yes, he can be indignant because he represents the state of Illinois, but that's more political posturing than what gets a deal done.
Sounds like we got a crucial next few weeks here. Mark Ganis, thank you very much for your perspective here. Appreciate it, sir.
Thank you. My pleasure.
All right, 7:17. Mike, do your forecasting skills translate to stadiums and the NFL, or is there...
Look, I have made this well known, my view on this whole thing. I think Kevin Warren is a brilliant negotiator, and it is all about making the best deal possible for Arlington Heights.
Okay.
They spent how many bazillion dollars to buy those
200, I think.
They're going to Arlington Heights. All right, we have high winds across all of Chicagoland right now. Wind advisories in effect. It includes Cook County. It's got you in northwest Indiana, Will County, McHenry County. This will be in effect until late this afternoon. Some of the winds now are gusting to more than 40 miles per hour. Look at Midway. Wow. That's the strongest wind gust I've seen so far this morning. 51 miles per hour. That is not a fun ride in there to MDW. And about the same speed at Gary. So the strongest winds, I think, are going to be over the next few hours. And when we bring in this snow from the west, it may look pretty impressive. These are the current temperatures. Cold enough so that when the snow falls, it's going to have a chance to stick, especially on non-paved surfaces. news. There you see some of that snow approaching. It's just kind of crossing the I-39 corridor. It was very heavy in Iowa. It should be weakening by the time it gets here, but got to include some snow in the forecast. Our high already happened. It was 46 degrees a couple hours ago, and now we've seen temperatures drop precipitously. That west wind is going to be up there at big speeds throughout the day today. All right, let's find out about our commute this morning, which Gabriella, I think, may get a little bit worse here in the next hour with that precip coming in.
You might be right, Mike. I was thinking the same thing. I'll take a look at some traffic cameras, Anthony and I, to make sure we keep you updated on your commute. 32 minutes right now on the Dan Ryan from 95th to the Byrne interchange. You just can't shake that delay due to that much earlier crash that was near Canalport. 35 minutes on the Stevenson from 355 to DuSable Lakeshore Drive. 40 minutes on the Eisenhower and 40 minutes as well on the Kennedy. There is a pretty serious crash to report. It's over in Irving Park. It's Addison and Elston. Apparently there's a couple people injured. We're working to get more information, but avoid that area if possible. Again, Addison and Elston. That freight train derailment we were telling you about over in the Dixmoor Harvey area doesn't seem to be that serious. We have a photographer down there. He has eyes on it. It just looks like a closure at that railroad crossing. So don't worry about that too much. Just make sure you adjust your commute as needed. All right, tensions is reaching a boiling point between the U.S. and Iran as President Trump issues a warning. I'm talking with North Central College professor William Muck about where this could be heading after this break.
Code, and I approve this message.
All right, some breaking news to get to. We mentioned this before the break. Here's a look at that derailed freight train. This is in Harvey. right now. This happened right near 140th and Spalding Avenue. You can see some of those cars kind of leaning off to the side. This is fortunately not impacting Metro. It's mostly impacting car traffic at that crossing. And also on the positive side of things, we have not heard of any injuries.
All right, turning our attention to tensions overseas. With a massive U.S. Armada in position and a 10-day ultimatum on the clock, many are questioning if there's a path to war between the U.S. and Iran. Well, North Central College professor William Muck is joining us to weigh in. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
All right, let's kind of update people, I guess, within the last 24 hours, because there's been some growing speculation about a possible U.S. military strike on Iran. Though the administration says the president hasn't really made a final decision. But in your assessment, Mr. Muck, how close is the United States realistically to using force?
Well, we should say ultimately the president will be the one who makes that decision. But I think we're seeing a lot of signs, both in terms of the military redeployment. The United States has a massive military footprint in the region. We're also seeing lots of chatter, right? Lots of behind the scenes chatter and leaked stories suggesting that they're getting closer to a military operation. So I think we have more questions than answers right now. But I think one of the really important things is we still don't know the why. You know, what is the justification? What are the goals of this operation? And I'm hoping in the next couple days or next couple hours that the president comes out and clarifies that. What is the goal of the operation? If we think back to 2003, the Bush administration spent a lot of time explaining why they were doing that. And I think before the administration moves forward, we need more of that type of conversation.
That's a very good point. And like you said, I also have been seeing a lot of chatter on social media about what's happening overseas here in our relations with them. If the U.S. were to take military action, what would this actually look like, if you have any indication?
Yeah, well, I think one thing we can look at is the president and the administration critique of the 2003 Iraq War. So that's very much always on their mind. I think we look at the Venezuela operation, and the president likes quick, clean operations. So I think it's unlikely we're going to see boots on the ground. It's unlikely we're going to see a conventional war, just because the president has made very clear that that's not the kind of operation he likes. He likes something that is, again, quick and fast and has a real big demonstration effect. Now, how that all plays out is really difficult to know, because once you begin a conflict with Iran, it might be much more difficult to extricate yourself from that. So I would guess we're likely to see an air campaign, but again, much of that is yet to be determined.
And before anything happens, does the president need congressional authorization before actually taking that military action against Iran?
That's a really great question, right? So if we look at the Constitution says absolutely the power to declare war resides with the Congress. Now, what we've seen is that throughout history, presidents have avoided that. There have been a number of members of Congress on this particular issue that have started to push. So the question is, if it is a short-term military operation, something maybe similar to what happened in June, I think they can probably skirt Congress. But if it's going to be a more invasive regime change type operation, something that feels very much like war, I think there has to be some sort of congressional authorization, or at least going to Congress. The presidency has to make the case for war, both to Congress and to the American public.
Okay, thinking about people here at home, what could this mean for the U.S. economy if this does potentially happen, especially when it comes to like oil markets and gas prices?
Right. Well, so you'll hear lots of conversation about the Straits of Hormuz, which is this little waterway right next to Iran where 20 to 30% of the world's oil goes through. So if the United States engages in a military operation against Iran, Iran will respond. And one of the things that they've talked about is closing the Straits of Hormuz. Now, the United States knows about that and will try to prevent it. But there is no question, if there is a military confrontation between the two regimes and that takes a long period of time, we're going to see an impact on the U.S. economy, most directly in terms of gas prices. So there will be a dramatic ripple effect depending on how big this operation turns out to be.
Okay, we'll wait and see. Professor William Muck, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
7:27 now. Mike Kaplan, you're standing by with a look at our forecast. What do we have?
Snow is on the way. Something we haven't seen in a long time, along with some chillier temperatures. The forecast is coming up.
32 Chicago.
Welcome back. Time now, 7:30 on your Friday morning. We are showing you some of the damage left behind after a tornado blew through southern Illinois.
And new services announced in the wake of Reverend Jesse Jackson's death. We'll tell you about the honors he's receiving across the country.
But first, Hollywood mourning a big loss this morning.
Oh, so sad. Jake joins us with more on the passing of actor Eric Dane.
Yeah, you know, we were just talking in the newsroom. Doesn't it feel like we're losing a lot of actors out of Hollywood these past few weeks? We're doing a lot of these reports. Unfortunately, sad news out of Hollywood this morning as we've learned Grey's Anatomy and Euphoria star Eric Dane has died. Dane passed away yesterday, just 10 months after revealing he was battling ALS.
I bet you wish you'd taken the stairs right about now.
Dane's career really took off back in 2006 when he joined the cast of a show called Grey's Anatomy as Dr. Mark McSteamy Sloan. The role earned him mainstream popularity and helped raise the profile of an already hit primetime drama. Now, Dane announced his ALS diagnosis less than a year ago. He advocated for more awareness and research about ALS, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease. In a statement, Dane's representative said, quote, he spent his final days surrounded by dear friends, his devoted wife, and his two beautiful daughters, who were the center of his world. Now, while he was a working actor for decades, I think Dane arguably saved the best for last. His performance as Jacob Elordi's overbearing father, Cal, in the hit HBO series Euphoria really showed a new range for him as an actor. Dane will appear in the upcoming third season of the series later in April. That'll be his final performance. Eric Dane leaves behind a wife and two daughters. He was just 53 years old. Sending it now over to Brian for a look at the top stories we're following this morning. Brian?
Well, we are following some breaking news just into our newsroom. A freight train derailed overnight in Harvey. This is a look at the scene right now near 140th and Spalding Avenue. You can see some of the cars just leaning off to one side. Thankfully, this is not impacting any Metra service, and we have not heard of any injuries. We'll keep you updated throughout the morning. There's not been a change in the schedule for services honoring the late Reverend Jesse Jackson. He would now lie in state in Washington, D.C., and then in his native South Carolina. Reverend Jackson will also lie at the Rainbow Push Coalition headquarters next Thursday and Friday. The services in South Carolina and D.C. will be held after that from March 1st to March 5th. There will also be a people's celebration after that at the House of Hope here in Chicago on March 6th, and a private homegoing celebration at Rainbow Push on March 7th. Well, today the Supreme Court has another chance to release a decision on President Trump's tariff authority. This case stems from a lawsuit filed by a group of businesses last spring, most notably from one right here locally in Vernon Hills called Learning Resources. President Trump used emergency powers under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act to impose the tariffs, and the plaintiffs argued that that was unlawful. The owner of a Hinsdale spa will go before a judge this morning after police say that he filmed clients using a hidden camera. 51-year-old Jason Wade Spencer is the owner of Reflection Spa. An indictment says he is facing 64 felony counts for allegedly recording customers without their knowledge. Prosecutors said that the videos were apparently made between mid-July and late November of 2024. And parts of downstate Illinois are cleaning up this morning after a tornado moved through the area. This is video from Flat Rock in Crawford County, just about an hour south of Terre Haute, Indiana.
The ways we could see the funnel cloud coming, and I mean within just seconds like it just hit. The house shook. We lost the roof off of our workshop, stuff out back. We have two houses that are south of us. There was a trailer that was overturned with a lady that was trapped in it, and then right next to that was a modular home that was totally destroyed as well.
We're also hearing at least a dozen buildings, mostly mobile homes, were damaged in that storm. And that is just some of the aftermath from severe storms that moved across the state late on Thursday. They had it really bad down south, Mike. Even this morning, Gabby was saying that she almost got blown away She was trying to walk to her car this morning.
Well, we have seen some gusts to more than 50 miles per hour this morning, Brian. Midway in the past hours had a 51-mile-an-hour wind. And there's our camera at 2800 North Michigan Avenue. And that's rocking and rolling there. And we got some clouds and maybe even a little bit of light precip moving in as well. The main body of snow is still off to the west of us. At O'Hare right now, 31 with some flurries. West-southwest winds sustained. That's the 10-minute average, 22 miles per hour. And the wind chill, 18. Considering our high yesterday was 58, that's a 40-degree drop in how it feels to be outside. We've got 31 at O'Hare, Midway, 32 at Woodstock, still just a little bit above freezing at Gary where it's 34. But with these temperatures like this, when the snow comes in, it's going to be able to stick on essentially non-paved surfaces. It's not going to be a lot, but there will be some coating. We got a 43-mile-an-hour wind right now at Midway, down just a little bit from what it was about a half hour ago. 41 mph at Aurora, about the same at Kankakee, Gary, and Valparaiso. And here comes the snow. It's weakening. It was pretty impressive in parts of Iowa and Wisconsin, but it's still holding together. It's going to swing into Chicagoland here later this morning, and maybe a tenth or two of accumulation, not much. 46, what's that? That was the temperature a few hours ago. That's going to go in the books as our high for the day. Temperatures now are going to stay in the low to mid 30s for the rest of the day, and really highs for the next several days will be in that ballpark. Some small chances for light snow tomorrow night into Sunday, maybe some lake effect here or there, but temperatures warm back up into the 40s starting on Tuesday. Got a couple of pictures and a video to share with you. How about this shot there from Johnny O'Hara, giving us a cloudy sunrise over Navy Pier. That's a pretty shot there. No ice on that lake on the Illinois side. Our next photo, this one comes to us, actually video. Pat Lenzini, my pal. She's the self-proclaimed garlic queen of Highwood. She was visiting Toronto, Canada, and shows us some of the snow coming down there in Ontario. Thanks for that one, Pat. And how about this shot here? This is from our assignment editor, Jennifer. She was at Bond Falls. That is in Ontonagon County in the Yup in Michigan, near Paulding, and you can see some of the water flowing amid the ice and snow-covered terrain there. Thanks for that one, Jennifer. 7:37, let's show you some of the travel times, which are creeping up on this Friday morning. We'll be right back after this.
got junk.
Welcome back. Tension between the U.S. and Iran reaching a boiling point here. President Trump says we will know within the next 10 days whether a nuclear deal can be reached or if the U.S. will instead pursue military action. The Pentagon is executing its largest Middle East military buildup in decades, deploying multiple aircraft carrier strike groups and dozens of fighter jets to that region. Meantime, Iranian officials are warning the UN that any American strike will be met with immediate retaliation against U.S. bases in the Middle East.
We have to make a meaningful deal. Otherwise, bad things happen.
The facts are not on their side. Time is not on their side. And they'd be wise to listen to the president and come to the table with a real deal.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio is set to travel to Israel next week for U.S.-Iran nuclear talks.
Today marks the 20th day teams are searching for Nancy Guthrie. Forensic scientists are still analyzing the DNA found inside Nancy's home, a process which could take weeks, even months. The reward for information leading to an arrest is now over $200,000.
Adam Beckerink, the man accused of killing his wife in a South Loop condo building, is pleading not guilty. 36-year-old Caitlin Tracy was found dead in the building back in October of 2024. Beckerink is accused of throwing her over a 24th floor stairwell railing. Beckerink has been in the Cook County Jail since last month after being extradited from Michigan. He was serving time there for separate domestic violence charges.
Nurses across the country are united against immigration enforcement. Some of those nurses gathered yesterday at the medical district on Chicago's west side. The abolition of ICE and a shift in funding towards health care. Speaking at the rally, believe immigration enforcement poses a threat to public health.
We nurses are terrified of what will happen when they show up in our emergency departments with injured patients, sometimes injured by ICE themselves.
And when they shoot and kill a nurse who actually cares for veterans every day in an ICU, that is state violence. We're tired of the lies saying that there's no money for healthcare and housing and education. We know that that's not true.
Nurses also believe the government should redirect money to help with housing and education in the U.S.
Cook County Prosecutor Eileen O'Neill Burke is laying out a roadmap to charge federal agents. This is in direct response to violent confrontations during Operation Midway Blitz. The new policy develops a system to clarify the roles that cops and prosecutors will play in investigations. It also includes bringing charges against any federal agents accused of crimes. During Trump's immigration enforcement, locally, there were 2 shootings involving agents. One of those shootings turned fatal, and following the shootings in Minnesota, the Cook County State's Attorney's Office has been under pressure for failing to act. O'Neill Burke says with this new policy, quote, no one is above the law. This protocol establishes clear, legally sound guidelines to ensure we have a responsible and effective path to pursue accountability. All right, 7:44 on your Friday morning. Here's a quick look at what is coming up for us here on Good Day Chicago during our 8 and 9 o'clock hours. So keep it right here. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Time is now 7:47. We're following some breaking news this morning out of the south suburbs.
Yes, it is an early morning freight train derailment. Happened in Harvey as we take a look at the scene. This is right near 140th and Spalding. CSX says 17 cars went off the tracks. That train is now blocking the crossings at Roby Avenue, Lincoln Avenue, and Western Avenue. Fortunately, nobody was hurt, and the train did not leak or spill anything, but it is blocking those 3 crossings as authorities are still trying to figure out how that derailment happened.
There's been a change in the schedule for services honoring the late Reverend Jesse Jackson. He'll now lie in state in Washington, D.C., and then in his native South Carolina. Reverend Jackson will then lie at Rainbow Push next Thursday and Friday. The People's Celebration and homegoing services will now be held March 6th and 7th.
Today, the Supreme Court has another chance to release a decision on President Trump's tariff authority. This case stems from a lawsuit filed by a group of businesses last spring, most notably one small business from right here in Vernon Hills. Learning Resources is the name of that company. Trump used emergency powers under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act to impose these tariffs, and the plaintiffs argue that that was unlawful.
The owner of a Hinsdale spa will go before a judge this morning after police say he filmed clients using a hidden camera. 51-year-old Jason Wade Spencer is the owner of Flexion Spa. An indictment says he's facing 64 felony counts for allegedly recording customers without their knowledge. Prosecutors say the videos were apparently made between mid-July and late November of 2024. We now know the names of the 2 people killed in a tragic crash on the Bishop Ford Freeway. 17-year-old Boaz Flamister and 25-year-old Lazarius Gonzalez were members of Ultimate Threat Dance Corps. Family members tell us they crashed while driving home from dance practice early Thursday morning. 3 other teammates were also hurt. The cause of the crash is still under investigation. There will be a balloon release at 5 p.m. for Gonzalez and one on Saturday afternoon for Flemister.
The Naperville Fire Department has a new life-saving tool we want to show you here. It's called a SAM junctional tourniquet, and it is used to control bleeding in areas like the groin or the armpit where you can't use standard tourniquets. It can also stabilize pelvis fractures as well. And yesterday we spoke with the division chief on Chicago Live here. He tells us that the department is the first to use this device within the Edward Hospital EMS system.
This is primarily used in the military. Obviously, a lot of great equipment come from that area, and it's just a great piece of equipment. And you know, I can't take credit for implementing this. A couple of our members on the fire department saw a need for this, and you know, our department is extremely progressive. We got a lot of great thinkers and innovative people on our fire department, and they brought it to me, and I just thought it was a great idea, and we implemented it.
Nearly 200 of the department's firefighters and paramedics have been trained on using this new device. All right, it's 10 minutes till 8 o'clock on your Friday morning. Here's a quick look at your drive times as we head to breaks. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Today, Governor Pritzker will be highlighting his push to ban cell phones in schools. He's going to be joining students and teachers at Oak Park River Forest High School a little bit later this morning. The goal of the ban is to fight distractions while in class, while improving mental health and curbing cyberbullying. This ban would apply to grades K through 12, with exceptions for medical reasons and emergencies. And if you watch Governor Pritzker's State of the State address on Wednesday, you heard his plans to suspend state tax incentives for new data centers. This has been a huge point of contention in Illinois, including in Naperville, where earlier this year the city council denied a proposal for a Caris critical data center. A Naperville business owner told us on Chicago Live that these data centers lead to an increase in health and environmental issues as well as energy costs.
There are plenty of industrial areas or wide open areas across our state. And if they simply put these facilities in industrial areas or open areas that are not in such close proximity to where people live and children play, then I think it can certainly be better.
Illinois has more than 200 data centers. Estimates show that they have generated billions in tax revenue for the state.
New this morning, Midway Airport is rolling out a faster way to get you through security. Clear is launching biometric e-gates in the main terminal. It uses facial recognition software to confirm your identity, getting you through screening in just 5 seconds. All you need to do is scan your boarding pass, then your face, and Clear says all of your data stays private. All right, for all you outdoorsmen out there, with the recent stretch of warmer weather, here's an important reminder.
First responders are reminding everyone to stay off the ice. Stay off the ice, everybody. Video captures the moment that rescues had to pull 3 fishermen from the icy waters near the town of Johnsburg. That's by McHenry. Thankfully, all 3 of those fishermen, they're going to be okay, but you have been warned.
They ice fish out of here quite a bit all winter long. It's normally a pretty good area for it, but yeah, that ice hasn't been good for a couple days.
Temperatures may be taking a dip today, but it is not enough to make the ice safe and solid. Officials say the warmer weather has made it very unstable.
No one's invincible.
Yeah, exactly. All right, 7:56. It's almost 8 o'clock on your Friday morning. Plenty more to get to here on Good Day Chicago, so keep it right here. We'll be right back.
Right now.
Chicago Plus.
Welcome back. Police are searching the home of Britain's former Prince Andrew a day after his arrest. He has since been released from custody as police are looking into whether he shared confidential information illegally with Jeffrey Epstein back in 2010.